What is going on, YouTube? I am back at you with another review, second one on the channel. Here with the Mesh Pro RDA by Vape. Made it a... No, that's wrong. That's right, I did make a mistake in the last video. This is by digiflavor. I have got to tell you, everybody's been getting on to me saying, when are you going to do a mesh review? When are you going to do a mesh review? You've been putting coils in a mesh deck. Coils in a mesh deck? Bro, you can't do that. You have a mesh deck. Well, I put a little piece of kanthal A1 in here. Nice little mesh running at 0.11 ohms. 50 watts. Let's see what she does. And let me tell you, for 50 watts, it does not feel like it. Usually 50 watts for me is pretty hot on this little thing that I've got. But 50 watts on this piece of kanthal A1, man, that is a cool, flavorful vape. I am telling you, it is insane. So let's take a look at this build. I'll go over it a little bit. Like I said, it is a single strip of kanthal A1. I cut it in half straight out of the box that came with this. Again, 50 watts, 0.11 ohms. As you can see, slight ramp up time on this thing, but the clouds coming off of it, that is what impresses me. I've never really heard of a mesh deck really producing clouds. Now, I know some people will argue that and say maybe you're just building it wrong, maybe you're just doing it wrong. But my experiences in the past have always been pretty cruddy with these things, to say the least. They usually get hot spots right on the middle, they burn my tongue, my lips, I can't really hit them, they don't taste great. This thing, however, I've been hearing some people rip on this thing too, saying, why would you make it so that the under airflow is covered by the cotton and have that little plate? Well, the plate is so that you can get disbursement on a squonk pen. And for me, that airflow actually channels a little bit through the cotton. Now, really, I've got to give this thing an A+ on flavor. I'm going to give it a B or so on the cloud production, just because I can throw my own coils in this thing, no problem. Put out clouds much bigger. But, that being said, this is one product that I would recommend. Admittedly, this is my second RDA that I personally have bought. I do have the Smock TFV8 RTA, and that thing, it's pretty nice. A few problems with that. Maybe I'll do a review on it too. I've used a Tsunami in the past. It's great. Dead Rabbits, the Drop, they're all great. But this thing, for the amount that it costs and the versatility that comes with it, you know, some people say, oh, you can't do a 2-coil build in these things. You can't do a 3. But, come to tell you, I've put a 3 in this thing. Yeah, that's right. 3 coils in that little tiny deck. And those clamps, man, they give no problems with conductivity. I mean, you would think that there'd be some hot spots, there'd be some issues with the connections, but really there's not. This gold plating is on point. It's really just great. Again, here's the ramp up. A little bit of a bubbling action right there in the middle, but I didn't seem to feel it when I was hitting it. Some people say you can get plumes off this thing. You run it up on 70, 80. You know, I really don't prefer to do that, because one of the most common problems with mesh, if you don't build it right and run it right, you're going to end up drinking a fireball. And like Rip says, not the shot. It is a legit piece of flame that's going to shoot up off this thing straight down the back of your throat. And that does not taste good. It's even worse than old e-juice. Now, back up here on FaceTime. I'm vaping her again, 50 watts. Got the airflow halfway open. And like I said, a cool hit. It is not hot in the slightest. That bubbling doesn't pop on my tongue. Tastes amazing. The flavor out of this thing that I'm getting, the notes, I'm using a watermelon jawbreaker. And, you know, I can really taste the candy aspect and the natural watermelon aspect. And I run 6-nic because I'm stepping off the reds. I know, smoking those cowboy killers. Smoking is dead. Vaping is the future. Yeah, but you know, for me, 6-nick through this thing, no problem. There's no harshness to it. A lot of coils, you put 6-nick in it, and whew, you gotta be a champ to chief on that stuff. Like, I know some people will even throw 12 through these things. Can you believe that? 12. I have one friend, in fact, he puts 32 Cuban cigar flavor through this thing. I don't know how, I can't do that, but 6-nick off this, it is perfect. Uh-oh, weak battery. Make sure you always keep your batteries on hand. I'm gonna go grab one and I'll be right back at you with some cloud action. Now I've got the airflow all the way open, back at you with fresh battery in here, 18650. Still running around 50 watts, still reading out at 0.11. Here we go. You know, really, cloud chaser's dream, honestly. I don't know what people are talking about these things don't put out clouds. Yeah, they don't put out as much as a fused Clapton, an alien fused, a tiger, but come on, for a mesh, like, this thing's putting out, in my opinion, on par with a smock baby beast. You know, and it's not the harshness either. It's not restricted at all. That's with airflow all the way open. I'm going to crank her back down to about halfway. That's 4 out of the 8 holes on this thing. And I'll show you what she does. Alrighty, so I got the airflow halfway open. As you can see, that's 4 out of the 8. Airflow facing directly at the coil. You don't want it going at the cotton. If you do that, you won't get proper airflow up and into your mouthpiece. And it'll burn, it tastes bad, all that jazz. So here we go. Halfway open, 50 watts. Really, again, clouds, and they're cool. Even with the airflow halfway open, I am not getting a slightly scorched taste, slightly burned, it's not getting hot. And throughout this whole video, I haven't even juiced her once. That is the great thing about this. It has got a juice well that's the size of a real well. You don't have to keep sitting here dripping it. You put your juice in here, flick it up and down a couple times. If you're going to have it in your pocket, just remember, juice it up when you want to use it. That's the key thing about these things. You wouldn't just fill up the juice well on a regular RDA, so why do it with a mesh? If you remember the rules to building and running these things right, these things are amazing. And the other thing, if you noticed, it's sitting kind of flat. That is a big mistake that everyone tends to make. They want to go and arc these things. They want to make them in a loop motion. You don't want to do that. You don't want it looking like the rim of my hat here. You want it more flat, because then you get more surface area. You get more even heating. You don't get those hot spots that you would get with, say, a big old coil that's sitting in here. You know, something, like I said, a fused alien, a Clapton, a tiger. You don't get those issues as long as you do it right. And I get that the market is pretty saturated with these things and everyone thinks they're an expert on them. But really, you have to play around with the things that you have first. And I'm not saying play around like it's a toy. This is not by any means a toy. It can hurt you if you do it wrong. But what I'm saying is, you need to experiment and find what's right for you. I found what's right for me. Maybe you want a hotter vape. Make it a little longer. Then you'll get a higher ohm. Maybe you want it even cooler. Cut it shorter. You'll get even less heating. It'll be even cooler. It's all dependent on what you want. But anyways, here we go with another cloud shot for you guys. Like I'm saying, man, big clouds, flavorful clouds. That is what everyone's looking for. In my opinion, this is one of the most versatile decks that I have ever seen. Throw mesh in it, throw coils, 1 coil, 2 coils, 3 coils. Heck, I bet you could even fit 4 in here if you really tried. It's all dependent on what you're willing to do. Gonna be coming at you guys with a smokestack coil. It is a fused Clapton wrapped up like a smokestack. You put your cotton in the top, leads come over the edge. Be coming at you guys with that in maybe the next week or so. Till then, peace out, stay safe with those mods. It's your boy Russ, Heavy Metals and Coils. Peace.